Hi, welcome to the Israel First television program from our studios in Jerusalem. Great to have you with us. My name is Martin Blackham. I'm in the studio today with my wife Nathalie Blackham, and we're the program that brings you news and behind the scenes and Hebrew roots for all the believers who are watching across the world. And we are bringing you what's happening behind the scenes as we are continuing to be in the Gaza war situation. We also have the north, which is kind of a semi-war as well going on, but we are still in the Gaza war situation. So that's very much on the minds of everybody and in the mainstream media. As we come to you now, Israel National News has reported that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is planning to remove the 200 Israeli shekel bill from circulation. For those of you who don't know or haven't had the experience of living in Israel or visiting Israel, the 200 shekel is really the biggest, I believe it's the biggest denomination that's used. It's a very important bill because if you're buying things, expensive things, you need to have a 200 shekel bill. And it's being proposed that it be removed from circulation. And you say, well, why on earth are they doing, or how on earth are they justifying that? Well, the justification is that there is a black market and they want to destroy the black market. So why not destroy the currency?
Yeah, this is a pretext. But you know, when you say that, I was on the Shuk, which is the market in Jerusalem a few days ago, and everybody is paying with cash. Over there is like, and you have some old people, and everybody is using that. So,
well, I mean, it's part of what's happening globally.
Yes,
now.
yes.
The Israeli government is proceeding to remove cash. Its goal, public goal, which it's declared, is to remove cash from circulation. Critics, though, warn that removal of cash will lead to dangerous government control, loss of freedom and privacy. In a cashless world, the government can track an individual via their spending and cut them off, leaving them unable to pay for goods and services. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has directed the finance minister, the governor of the Bank of Israel, and the Prime Minister's Office Director General, the Tax Authority, and the Prime Minister's Office staff to evaluate the issue or the way of doing it of cancelling the 200 shekel note. Under the plan, which was drafted by a staff of 9 economists in Israel, the 200 shekel bill will be removed from circulation beginning during the next printing cycle. A transition period of a few days, doesn't sound very long of a transition period, will be granted to allow people to swap the bills out. I don't know where on earth they're going to... By the way, when they say they swap the bills out, in the olden days, in the days I remember, there was a cash till inside the bank where you could get cash or you could pay cash in. That's disappeared. So I don't know where on earth they mean, unless they mean when you pay it into the bank, that you can pay it into a cash machine and that it will accept it. But the whole point is, if it's being phased out, the cash machine might not accept it. I've had problems with cash in Israel. I've had problems with cash being accepted in a cash machine. It's not as easy as it looks to pay in cash into a bank anymore. Now, the 9 economists who are advising the government are recommending as much as possible the use of cash being phased out until it is completely gone. Israel is following the global elites, as I said before, in an effort to control people's lives. By removing cash, Israel is proceeding fast down the road of Big Brother and George Orwell's frightening book 1984. You only have to look at China to see how a cashless society becomes a nightmare dystopian world of surveillance. And in China, of course, they have a vast network of surveillance cameras linked with the cashless society. So, you know, they can watch you wherever you go and they can monitor your payments right across China. They've developed, in fact, in China, Nathalie, a social credit system that tracks your behavior even. I mean, your behavior, you know, in a free world, you're free to, indulge in whatever
The thing,
hobbies or...
the thing is, when you have cash, you can buy things and they can't track you.
Right.
But when you are with your card and credit card and everything, or your phone, because a lot of young people now are using the phone, they know exactly what you are buying, how much you are buying, what kind of lifestyle you have, all these things, and they can just know what kind of people, and it's like AI, you take over,
Right.
and they can know and try to do profiles and all this kind
Now,
of thing that they can't.
right.
They can't do that when you have cash because they don't know what you are buying.
Now, they already have a lot of this technology in place, and it's already in action, monitoring your purchases, etc., etc. However, we're talking about a whole new level of control with digital currency, where they issue the money, they're in charge of the money, and they are determining what they want you to do with the money. Now, this is all very well if you agree with the government and if you're happy with them, but what happens if you are from an opposition party, or what happens if you're a protester, or what happens if you don't agree with everything, they're doing? How does that affect you? Or indeed, if you live outside of society and you live what they call off-grid, how does that affect you? That you don't want to be part of all the nonsense that's going on. You want to be free to live your life with your family off the grid. And so how does it affect you? Now, China, as I said before, is the example of how where this is all leading. And you might say, well, it sounds a bit extreme, but you really need to do some research and look what's happening on the Chinese mainland. Now, the head of the United Kingdom Intelligence Agency, GCHQ, Jeremy Fleming, warned in a speech that Beijing could use a digital currency to monitor and control its citizens. Two things, the monitoring of citizens and the control of citizens, which is very concerning. Meanwhile, the Jerusalem Post reported that the Bank of Israel remains committed to a digital shekel currency. Citizens in countries using a government-controlled digital currency are waking up and realizing that to the extent the government controls the money, they control your life. You'll find it very difficult to live a normal life if suddenly all the money disappears. And if the central bank digital currencies, by the way, the digital currencies, some people are calling them CBDC. Don't get confused by that. That is a digital currency. That's one that's done by a computer. It's not physical cash in your wallet or in your hand. Okay? That's a CBDC. And if a central bank digital currency, a CBDC, is implemented in Israel in its full form, we're going to witness a totalitarian state. We talk about Big Brother, but it goes far beyond that, really, Nathalie.
Yes, I mean, it's international, really.
And it's worldwide.
Yes,
I'm not
totally
talking about Israel that it's to blame for it. I'm saying that this is something that's happening in this country that you need to know about, because Israel is first. And so if things are happening here, then it's going to be happening where you are. And it's going to create an authoritarian surveillance state. And basically we're talking about the beast in Revelation, the beast that has surveillance, it can see. The beast, it talks about in the book of Revelation in the Bible, about a beast that has many eyes, which is a good picture of surveillance, of a surveillance state with the facial recognition cameras, which can monitor you in live time. Now, with a central bank, just go through a few of the practicalities of what this all means. The government will be both the money printer or the money producer, and it would destroy any checks and balances that's in place between the government's power of financial holdings. For example, the financial world has different kind of facets to it, which you may not be aware of, and there's organizations who hold large amounts of money in different banks for pension funds, etc., etc. So suddenly, if there isn't cash anymore, and suddenly it's all digital, the government could, and the digital money is made by the government. Suddenly, the government's in charge of everything, of all the savings. It's literally taking over, and it allows the government complete discretion about how and whether people can use their money. So it even can track what you, as Nathalie was saying, the usages of your money. And you know, the freedom to transact, one journalist said, is the core tenet, is the central core of a libertarian ideology. In other words, of freedom, that you're able to transact freely in the store or with a neighbor or with the supermarket or wherever.
It means that you are responsible of your life.
Yeah.
And it's not the government.
You are.
You know, the government should always serve us. This is one thing that we have to understand. They were placed to serve the population because you need to have something in place, you know, socially and everything. So they are there only to serve us. But now it's the opposite. We're becoming slave of the government who's having all power, which is totalitarianism.
Well, totalitarianism. Now, if you've lived in a communist country or you're used to communism, this might be quite normal that the government controls everything.
But it's not.
If you're used to freedom, or if you're used to living how in the West how it used to be, you're not used to the government running everything. Having said that, they are still,
I know, but the thing
through taxation, etc., running everything. But anyway.
Yeah, but they were made, they are created to serve the people. And we are serving God. This is again where we have ways to put God in the picture. We are serving Him. He is the King. And we are His servant. We're not the servant of the government.
Right.
Do you understand? So it's like they've done everything because they want to erase God. God doesn't exist anymore for them. And they want, we read an article about that they want to erase all the religious thoughts of people. They don't want God.
And you know, the thing is, at the end of the day, the government is elected by the people. It's meant to represent people.
Yeah.
It's not an institution that's devoid of people, or shouldn't be, disconnected to the people. The government is a servant of the people.
Yes.
They elect it, and it should be an elected authority that serves the people, not telling the people what to do. It should be helping the people.
But it is not anymore like that. We can see how many elections are not real election.
Right.
They are manipulated because they are trying to put in place this universal, unique government. Which.
But I think the point is where we're all going with all of this in the world, and from Israel, because it's Israel first, so we know you can see here what's happening, is it's going to a one world government system completely in place. Before it's been in place hidden or behind the curtains, but now we're seeing it become more open, that we have a one world government system, so that basically the governments of your country are serving this one world government system. Now I just want to finish off on the digital currency, because you could say, well, you know, we've already got digital currencies. If you have PayPal or Wise and things like that, it's already a type of digital currency. What's wrong, Martin, with having a government one? Well, let me tell you, and let me go through a few points that will help you understand what's wrong with a government one. Well, first of all, a government digital currency allows the state to put an expiry date on the money. I'll say that again, it allows them to put an expiry date. At the moment, the money doesn't expire. I mean, like the 200 shekel bill, it's going to have to be withdrawn, not expired. It's just because they don't want it, so they're going to have to try and withdraw it from the population. It doesn't expire. But if you have a digital currency, they can set an expiry date. You can find that you go to your local supermarket to buy something and your money's out of date. That's the first problem. Number two, it allows the state to set a geographical area where the money can be used. Now, at the moment, you can use your money anywhere in the world if you have cash. If you've got euros or pounds or dollars, you can go to an exchange bureau if it's not accepted in that country and get it changed. So you can use it everywhere. But with digital currency, they can do what's known as geofencing. It's a technical term, and it means they can limit the geographical area it's used in. So you can go on your holidays abroad and suddenly find your money doesn't work. That's the second problem. The third, it allows the state to use programming to set what the money is used for. So you might find that you go out for a coffee, you go to a coffee shop, a coffee house, and suddenly you find your money doesn't work. It's not allowed to work for coffee.
No, or because you go too much out.
Right. So the money,
or you buy too much meat, or
right,
different kind of things.
if the meat still exists, then the real meat. Now, so the money can be limited what it's used for. That's the third problem. And then the final problem is that the actual money can be switched on and off. So you can find that you go out and go to get petrol or gas from the filling station, and suddenly you find your money has stopped. It can be just switched off by the state. So this, Nathalie, is a very big thing for people. I don't think people realize how much control that this can take over people's lives, and the disappearance of the 200 shekel, if that happens, and the digital currency,
it
will change everything.
It will happen, I think, but they are trying even to make like, oh, some people, I mean, there is real people, honest people say this is not good, but there is, I think they are also even playing a game. So it's like they say, okay, we're going there, and some other people are saying, no, we are not going to do it, but they know that they are going to. Do you understand? Right. It's like a game. And anyway, but we know that it's all written in the Torah, it's all written in the Bible, that these things will happen before the coming of Mashiach.
And Nathalie, what have you got for us today? I know that.
So I mean, exactly because of that, I think it's getting very important that when you see all that, what's happening is like they don't want God on earth. Okay, I mean, they don't want the kingdom of God on earth. And us is the opposite. We want to see the kingdom of God on earth. Is what we're praying with our Father, that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I find a beautiful, beautiful prayer that the Jewish people pray during Shabbat. And again, is exactly all about that. It's like speaking about He is the God, and He is the one. He is the King, and I'm going to read them. I've learned it now in Hebrew, so it's wonderful. So I can do it in Hebrew, and Martin can do it in English now around the table for Shabbat, and it's beautiful. So this is a funny enough, it's called a Father's Prayer because our King is also our Father. Okay, so it's called our Father's Prayer. Lord of all worlds, Father of all souls, Master of peace. And when you say it in Hebrew, it's beautiful. King who is mighty. So it's like a declaration of who God is. And it's getting so important now to declare who He is. King who is mighty. King who is blessed. King who is great. King who is adorned. King who is ancient. King who is pure. King who gives lives to all worlds. He's a big king. He's not just a little one. He's above everything. King who is good and beneficent. King who is unique and special. King who is magnificent. King clothed in compassion. He is the King of kings of kings. He's the top, okay? He's much mightier than any other things. King who is sublime. King who supports the fallen. King who performs the work of creation. King who ransoms and rescues. King who is radiant and ruddy. King who is holy. King who is high and exalted, King who hears prayers, and King who is perfect in His ways. In all His ways, He's perfect. He knows what He's doing. All the time, we don't need to be afraid. And you can find, I'm sure you can maybe find it on the computer. You look at our Father's Prayer in the Jewish people, and it's called Lord of all worlds. And in Hebrew it's beautiful because they use all the letters of the alphabet. So you Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, and it goes all. So for the children, they can memorize, and even for me, it's helping me to memorize because I know that it's following the alphabet, the Hebrew alphabet. So this is what we want to tell you. Is like we know all the things that are happening, and we can declare that our God is the King of Kings, and He will come and He will reign here. And right now, life is tough for a lot of people, for all of us. There is nobody who escape. But he's the contraction.
It's so funny you should mention that, because that kind of leads into a quick story if we've got time before the end of the program, and that's Israel National News have reported on that following the Gaza war, there's been a sharp increase in the use of psychiatric medications and painkillers. We talked about previously, you may remember, we talked about sleeping pills, which there's been a big increase in Israel in the use of sleeping pills. During the first 6 months of the Gaza war was a 50% increase registered in the purchase of anti-anxiety drugs. And I guess, that could be in different countries as well. Maybe where you live, there's been an increase with all that's happening in the world. And a threefold increase in the purchase of narcotic pain relievers among the general population. A new study conducted by the Mir Medical Center of the Clalit Health Group found a sharp increase in the consumption of psychiatric drugs and painkillers among the Israeli public since the outbreak of the war. The data, which was presented in September 2024 at the annual meeting of the Israeli Society for Quality in Medicine in Tel Aviv, showed a 50% increase in the purchase of anti-anxiety drugs. And it's Dr. C.P. Hornick-Laurie, the manager of the Data Research Department at the Research Authority of Mir Medical Center, said, following the events of October the 7th, and by the way, we're coming up to the first anniversary in Israel. We're coming up to the first anniversary across the world. The first anniversary of the October 7th atrocities. And so that's again making people anxious, because it's, everybody is starting to think again about all the things that disturbed them on October the 7th and being brought up again. So this is also kind of reliving the trauma. Following the events of October the 7th, doctors and other health professionals noticed an increase in the consumption of antidepressants, anxiety medications, narcotic pain relievers, and sleeping pills among the adult population in Israel over the above, the increased observed over the years. So they saw a massive increase of these medications. The situation is even worse among the residents in the south of Israel, near Gaza, which showed a 200% increase in the purchase of anti-anxiety drugs. I should just explain, living in that area where the things happened, where the atrocities happened, and where they're so close to the war, to what happened on October the 7th, has been very traumatic, and a lot of them have still not got over it. So a 200% increase, Nathalie, of anti-anxiety drugs, and a 250% increase in the purchase of narcotic pain relievers. In addition, a 33% increase in antidepressants and a 25% increase in sleeping pills was observed in this area, that's in the south of Israel, close to the Gaza border. Dr. Hornick-Laurie stated the risk factors for the consumption of all four families of drugs after October the 7th are old age 65 plus. This is the people who have been most affected, the elderly, which is normal because they feel very vulnerable in normal circumstances. Just in normal life, they feel vulnerable. And when things happen, they feel even more vulnerable.
And maybe also some of them have been also in the trauma also of the Second World War. I mean, it's like consequences, because we saw that when your family have been stressed, you carry still the stress is passing to generation, and so they will have it even more than the other people, because they had carried from the generation before.
Right,
So
with the
it's like-
Holocaust. And
yes,
of course, we have a lot of, we still have some Holocaust survivors, they're still alive. And
But do you
right.
understand? It's like the next generation of the Holocaust survivors
right,
carry some stress, and it's even fine in the DNA.
right.
So is like triggering even,
Right.
you know, again what was happening to them before.
Well, it's been great to be with you. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Israel First television program. Please let whoever's broadcasting this, let them know that you enjoy it. That really helps us. We have a website, www.israelfirst.org. You can go to that. A lot of information on that. You can sign up for the newsletter. Nathalie does a weekly newsletter, and you can sign up for that on our contact page. We also do a daily news story, which you can get on the media page. And you can also help us financially. There's the donate page. So please help us financially, because that does enable us to come into people's homes, and you're kind of passing it on, as they would say. You're paying it on, that other people can hear what's happening in Israel, and some things that the mainstream media might not be picking up on. Well, as I say, great to be with you. Don't forget the website, to have a look at that after the program. And remember, we're the program that looks at the language, the people, and the nation.